Man, this movie was hard to understand. The plot was straightforward enough, but you know those ones that just sit with you because you're still trying to get your head around a few days later? That's this one. Very quickly, if you enjoy the cut of my jib and what I do here, consider hitting subscribe. Not only will it keep you up to date with these latest movies I review, but you're going to make my day. But that being said, let's get on with this one. Infinity Pool. Now, if you've been here for a while, you know I don't really do this whole roll call thing with movie reviews. You know where you start listing off who makes them, their history and their credentials? However, this one was written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg. Now, there's not too many Cronenbergs in the business, as you can imagine. That's right, he is the son of David Cronenberg, as in Cronenberg. So I was expecting quite a lot from this movie. It's not fair to put that on Brandon's shoulders. However, he is the son of Cronenberg. His dad made their name a thing. Like, you know when you see a monster and you just look at it and it is just Cronenberg? He's definitely kind of in a shadow here. So keeping with the Cronenbergisms, this one is definitely a weird one. And I'm just going to kind of walk you through at least the first half because I don't want to lead further into spoilers. We are following James and Em. They're out on holiday. They're at this beautiful resort. Everything they could need is within the resort. You know, you've got restaurants, activities, you name it, they can do it here, and it does look gorgeous. Now, there isn't a lot of time paid to Em in this movie to really flesh her out. She's quite stand-in, if that makes sense, because the focus is very much on James and his journey through this movie, which you're going to understand why in a minute. So for the story to make sense, they've brought him here with his partner, and it just shows that they deviate at some point in the story. Other than that, Em doesn't really bring a lot to the table. Not the actress specifically, she does a fine job, but just Em is a little bit underutilised here. And as for James, he's like a bit of a wanker. He's a writer and he wrote one book like 6 years ago. Em's father works in publishing, so he helped to put James's book through, so he didn't do it on his own merit by any means. And he's not written anything since. She even makes a joke early on that her father told her to not ever get with a writer, and that's exactly what she's done. A little rebellious and a little stupid, I know, but she's done it anyway, and this is where we are. So James is out walking about himself one point, and he comes across Gabby. Very quickly, we start getting the kind of double dates, where Gabby brings along her man, Albin. These people come here every year, so they're very used to the resort. They know all the places to go and best places to eat, and they seem like they've got a little bit more money under their belts than James and Em. And for a long time in this movie, the sci-fi-ishness doesn't quite come into it. Quite early on, there are these series of shots kind of setting up the island, and they do just make you feel a little bit off. It's beautiful, but it's those spinning shots where you know it makes you a little bit uneasy, so something's about to change. Unfortunately, it doesn't come in for quite a bit. So the brilliant idea of this double date comes to mind where the resort is all caged off. They're not allowed to leave. It's like the rules of the resort and of this island. They leave the resort. Gabby and Albin know a way to get a car, so they get a car and they go to like this private beach. They go for drinks and have a nice time. But when they're driving back, James doesn't keep his eyes on the road as much as he probably should and ends up hitting somebody and killing somebody. And this is where the movie takes off into insanity. Very immediately, James and Em are completely freaked out by this. Understandably, you killed someone. However, it's Gabby and Albin that are very chill. Like, suspiciously chill about this, and also how to move forward from it and not get blame put on them. So they just want to fucking leave the scene as fast as they can. Turns out, this little island, if they get caught and convicted of murder, they get like the death penalty. They go to prison, they get the worst treatment imaginable. It's not quite like what they're used to with their legal system. They all come to this mutual agreement that nobody's going to talk, no one's going to be a snitch. However, it turns out one of them snitched because James gets picked up in the middle of the night along with Em, Albin and Gabby. They get brought away to this centre and the police just start interrogating them. The car they rented was from somebody who works at the resort who really shouldn't be renting out his car to locals. So that forms part of the accusations, and now they just need to know, did James kill somebody? Because apparently Em already spoke. Now, it's never confirmed whether she did or didn't actually say, and this could just be the tactic of the police, which I like that they left that ambiguous. Nonetheless, he comes clean, he just gives in. However, he is presented with a choice, and that is what Infinity Pool is all about. He can be executed. Like, there's an execution happening, no way about that. The island's rules for revenge dictate that because James killed a man, that man's eldest son now gets to execute James. The boy's 13, but that doesn't fucking matter. He's going to get executed anyway. So James's choice is either be executed or pay a shit ton of money to create a clone of himself, like a double, and that double then gets executed in his place. I say choice loosely, like it's not really a choice. He's got the money, of course you're going to take the double option. The execution ain't pretty. Like, I won't show it, obviously, but he is executed in the style of a giant from the lands between. Just to add on to this absolute head fuck for James is that he can't just pay and leave, he has to watch himself be executed. Now cutting forward, they reconvene with Gabby and Albin, and as you can imagine, James is not the same man after this. Now whether he is a double or whether he is the real James and the double got executed, we actually don't know. And I enjoy the movie for that it just leaves that ambiguous. It leaves us to guess. They actually reference it in the movie where someone poses that very question, but they don't answer it. They just leave it out there like a bad fart that you can pick up as an audience member. Now I won't spoil everything going forward, but this movie seems to really be wanting to paint a message, it feels. Like it feels message heavy, but at the same time, I'm not quite sure what that message is exactly. Because they point out a few facts. They point out that this island is a very poor island, it's a poor country, and that James himself does not have much money. He seems to act like an arrogant prick, but he doesn't have the money to back it up. So now that he's got the doubles and he can pay to make a double, his life goes on a bit of a decline. We are introduced to other doubles on this island, and they don't always have the best intentions in mind. Their morals are a little bit skewed, shall we say, because they can create double. And this is what I mean by the divide. Is the message telling the story of somebody who does not have money then suddenly is in a position of a lot of wealth? In respect to the island's poverty, he suddenly kind of has wealth, if you know what I mean, and now he can act and behave the way he wants. Kind of spoilers, it's pretty downhill. That's all you need to know. Or the flip of it is, are they trying to tell the message of when you don't allow rules to dictate you, like there's no consequence for your actions, that you can just behave however you want and ultimately you will reach this end goal as a person? Now it could be one or two of those options, or it could be both. If you have a lot of money, in this case, he doesn't have consequences. Fuck knows. And that's what I mean by this movie leaves you just wondering, why? You can understand the plot when you get to that end point. You can understand the characters' motivations, kind of. You understand their reactions, but you don't quite get what the movie's going for. And that, to me, is a real shame. And I fully appreciate that that is quite a hard line to toe, where they obviously wanted to leave it a little bit ambiguous. You know, they certainly did whether he is a double or not. But at the same time, you don't want to come completely down and make it clear what your message is, because then it just hits you over the head. So you're torn between how many clues can you give, or what kind of setup can you provide the audience that they can come to their own conclusion. Hell, that might be the point of this. Or this might be the point of it, where we talk about it and we don't quite know what's going on. I don't have a clue. Now, although I might not exactly understand the message behind this movie, let's move on to the characters. James, as I said, he's a bit of a prick, and we watch his downward decline. He starts off a little bit up himself with an ego, but very cautious. He definitely feels guilty about killing somebody, but as soon as he sees his double die, bloody difficult to say, he goes on a decline, because that's a lot to go through. Not only has he killed somebody, but he's also then watched himself die. And so without spoiling it, there may be other doubles. You don't quite know if it's him or if it is him. Where his headspace is at. Does he feel like he has to commit these acts because there's not much else to go for him? Like he's reached that level of excitement and he needs to go for it again. Does he feel like he's got no other choice but to just give in to the depraved actions? Who knows? As I said, Em doesn't really have too much development going for her. She's okay, she's serviceable as a partner who is very rational, but she doesn't stay in the movie long enough to be like our moral centre for James. Like, we watch his decline, but we don't get much to see where his starting point was. So it's very gradual, and there's not much to throw back to showing where he began this journey. Because Em, she leaves. Understandably so. James is going on this route, and Em just wants to fuck off. And then Gabby and Albin, they're very good. I enjoyed them in the movie. They're a little bit pompous, but you can understand why, given when you watch the whole movie. They are very evil. It's not really a spoiler to say that he hangs about with them quite a lot going forward, so Gabby, Albin, James, and their associated group, the heinous shit they get up to and the way they rationalise it, they're a head fuck of a group, and that's what this movie's out to do, is just fuck with your head. And I don't understand why they chose to do this. So Gabby, for like almost all of the movie, was perfectly fine. She didn't bother me. Hell, she even had like Aubrey Plaza-ism about her at one point, and that's fine, that works. Like, keep that. More of that, please. However, I'm going to do something here, and just trust me on this. I'm not going to show you the video just in case I spoil it, so I'm just going to give you the sound for it. But close your eyes and tell me you don't immediately imagine the annoying character in like every kid's show when Gabby speaks here.
You're just a bit of fun for us on our vacation. And such a terrible driver. I can't believe you ran that guy over, James. Do you remember that?
I don't know why nobody on set that day told her to just switch up the voice and do something else. I get why her voice is different than usual in the scene. It does not need to fucking be that. Like, she sounds like something off of fucking Peppa Pig.
I can't believe you ran that guy over, James. Do you remember that?
So look, with all that being said, where would I be putting Infinity Pool? If you do enjoy your sci-fi headfucks, you know the sci-fi ones where it all feels very grounded and all very believable, except just that one element, make time for Infinity Pool. It's not stellar, but it's going to keep you wondering what the message was, and it will play on your mind. I'll be honest, if I'd watched this movie and just walked away from it, I'd have rated it lower, but I have kept thinking about it. Whether that's for the right reasons or the wrong reasons, I'll leave that to you to decide. James as the leading man is playing a lot of different emotions in this movie. He's not absolutely blowing you away with his performance, but he does more than you see normally, so absolutely credit there. The rest of the cast do their job well. Characters can come across very annoying, but when they're meant to, can't really complain. The shots in here as well, it looks beautiful, this movie. And just lastly, one thing I will say is the movie has quite a long runtime. And looking back, all of the actual scenes, or at least the vast majority of them, were relevant and you don't want to cut out the movie, so I get that. But what did take this movie up in regards to its runtime is 100% the transitions and like every sex scene in the movie. There's no need for the transitions to last as long as they do in this movie. So when one starts, just skip forward like 60 seconds, you'll miss nothing. And it'll bring that runtime down for you by quite a chunk. And then those sex scenes, there's not loads of them, but there are quite a few, more than your average. And when they're on, they last themselves like over a couple of minutes. And a sex scene does not ever need to last over 2 minutes. Sex can last over 2 minutes. In a movie, doesn't matter. The movie was very serviceable, and that's the thing about it. It will play on your mind more for the messaging of it and some of the visuals. Some of the visuals were really good. You can see the Cronenberg inspiration coming through. More stylistically than it was with the story, with the body horror or anything like that, but that Cronenberg is definitely filtering down a generation. Now, with all that being said, have you seen Infinity Pool? Let me know down below if we agree or disagree, and see if you have a take that may be different to mine about what this movie's about. Please do let me know, because I would love to hear it. And if you've made it this far and you haven't yet, hit subscribe. You're going to make my day and you'll get to see everything as it comes out. But with everything now been said, as always, thank you so much for watching.